Good morning. In today's discussion, we will talk about different tools of strategic management. In order to achieve strategic management, you have various tools which you can use. The simplest tools are PEST framework, PEST, PEST framework. P for political, E for economical, S for social, T for technological. Because when you are preparing your business strategy, it is very important for you to analyze external environment. External environment includes political environment, economical environment, social environment, technological environment. Analysis of the environment will help you in preparing for the future. The future is not certain. We cannot predict the future, that is sure, but analysis of the present and possibilities about the future will enable you to plan. Look at, for example, political environment. Is there a stable government? What are the political philosophies of the government? What kind of plans are being prepared by the government? What are the political issues? What kind of system of governance is it? If you look at some countries, for example, Pakistan, political instability. China, communism, ideology of communism, which is not for free enterprise, free speech, free expression. These are issues that need to be considered. Or look at the political environment prevailing in some countries which are very disturbed countries. Some African countries, for example, Cameroon and other countries, so much of political disturbances are going on in those countries. So these must be analyzed. Wherever the company is having operations, in all those countries, you have to identify the political factors. Then economic factors. Recently the recession due to corona, or you also have to keep in mind the different economic policies that different governments are adopting, and because of them what kind of future will it be. The Indian government has adopted LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization, since 1991. Now what will be the policies in the years to come? Similarly, if you are operating in other countries, what are the economic policies of those countries? You have to keep in mind. Then sociological environment, the changes in the society, the evolution of society. Is the society progressing? What are the changing values of the people? What are the changing social practices among people? They are also important. So keep them into mind. That will determine consumption in future. That will determine the pressure groups. Because society is also evolving and we have to keep in mind the changing dynamics of the society. And technological advances. We have seen emergence of artificial intelligence. You know, artificial intelligence may wipe out a lot of jobs. Therefore, keeping that into mind, you have to prepare your HR strategy. So this PEST framework will help you in understanding the overall external environment. And then we have to analyze internal environment. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? How to overcome the weaknesses? We do not have always strengths. There are always some weaknesses. Finding out about them, taking appropriate measures for them is part of strategic management. Then we have lot of tools for assessment of the company. For example, VRIO framework that will help you in understanding the organization's basic values, basic working, basic capacity building initiatives. Then we have balance scorecard. It's a very important tool. Here we look at contribution of each individual. or each unit in terms of financial, customer, internal processes and organization's capacity. These four important areas. These areas are very important. Financial, for example, to what extent the cost will increase, to what extent there will be better revenue generation, return on investment. Customer, for example, what is the contribution in building and identifying new customers, contribution in terms of addition of customers. So that is very important. Then internal processes, to what extent knowledge addition is there, and organization capacity enhancement, to what extent we are adding knowledge, to what extent we are adding capacity, competency in the existing organization. So all these things, four important variables, they have to be identified for each individual and for each unit, and that will help the organization in improving its efficacy. So these are very important areas of study which should be kept in consideration when you are undertaking strategic management. We have also discussed there are various other tools which can be used for improvement of the working of the organization. Those tools can help you in planning your strategies. Every organization should periodically assess its own working, compare it with benchmarks. Benchmark is a very systematic and simple tool. Keep in mind some benchmark in key areas and accordingly take up decision whenever you find an opportunity to improvise the working of the organization. So benchmarking can be used. Similarly, every organization should identify its key areas, and in those key areas it must undertake regular monitoring. There are many tools of organization development which should be used. OD, organization development tools, their basic purpose is to develop revitalizing ability within the organization. The purpose of OD, organization development, is to develop change agents within the organization. If within your organization people come forward and raise their voice and ask others to bring about positive change, to bring positive philosophy, to bring about transformation, it will help significantly. So this is done through a series of steps which we call as organization development. In OD, we involve people. People collectively sit together, decide their objectives, undertake survey, feedback, give feedback to everybody, have lot of discussion again improvise, again undertake survey, introduce some changes. These will help. Similarly, you can introduce Japanese management techniques if required, internal quality circle, internal quality management forums, so that the people in the organization collectively work together. They create collective consciousness to bring about positive improvements in the organization. After all, people working in the organization must be committed to bring quality. If they are the drivers of quality, that will help. So important thing is you have to introduce such tools and techniques which can engage people into quality management. You have to introduce such tools whereby people become the owners of the entire quality improvement program. Total quality management will work if your employees are the owners of it, if your employees are the drivers of it, if they believe that it is their program. Total quality management, strategic management, organizational internal processes improvement, all these are very important tools but they will work if you bring about involvement of people. Involvement of people through various forums, committees, different type of meetings, different type of occasions for people to express their views, enable people to participate in the processes of the organization. That will enable people. You are preparing strategic plans. Rather than implementing the strategic plan from top to bottom, involve people, people from the bottom, people in the middle, they should be involved. If everybody is involved, it will help. Undertake participative management, improve the processes in the organization through employee engagement, employees' participation. See, people in the organization, if they are the owners, if they are determined, if they want to see that their organization is the most outstanding organization, no forces can stop, no recession can affect you. People will become the drivers, people will innovate, people will introduce massive changes. Most of the time, companies' top management fail to undertake required decentralization, and they have a higher level of centralization, which result in reduction of feeling of employee engagement at lower level. And because of this, we cannot find the desired improvements in the organization. We want major changes in the organization, which can happen only if there is enough opportunity for people to come forward and to participate in organizational processes. Involvement of people has to be periodically increased. You cannot achieve everything in one day, but there is concept of learning curve. As the time passes, as people learn, as people graduate, as people become more experienced in the organization, the possibility of their learning, the possibility of their expertise will increase. The challenge for you is to improve the possibility of employee engagement. The challenge before you is to create greater possibility of employee participation, greater possibility of employee engagement, greater possibilities whereby employees become the drivers of the change. Change management is a really challenging task. If you introduce a change as a push strategy, it will fail. But if you have to introduce a change, you have to involve people, you have to introduce change in a phased manner, and that requires managerial skills, leadership skills, whereby change is implemented smoothly and people accept the change, people are part of change process, people become the drivers of change. Because there are two parts of change. One is technical change, system change, another is behavioral change, attitudinal change. These issues are very less observed. You cannot find out easily what is happening in the minds of the people. It's easy to read technological problems. It's difficult to understand behavioral issues in change management, but they also play a very important role. So what to do? Involve people, bring them together, make them drivers, identify forces of change, force field analysis. What are the forces in favor of change? What are the forces against change? Reduce the forces against change, empower the forces in favor of change, enable these forces of change to bring about desired change, so that ultimately the organization is able to progress. The progress of the organization should benefit everybody, but that requires greater understanding of the vision, long-term vision, because some people get stuck with narrow interest, narrow vested interest, and they are not keen for long-term change. They are not able to visualize the long-term impacts. So it is important. Some people will come in friendly way, some people will come in unfriendly way. Somehow you have to bring people round, introduce change, make the people drivers of change, enable people to achieve the grand objective for which you are working. So, use various tools. There are plenty of tools. We will summarize our discussion. There are plenty of tools which you can use in strategic management. We have discussed balanced scorecard, PEST framework, SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis means identifying your strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, and taking suitable actions. Internal assessment, assessment of your internal strengths, internal weaknesses. We have also discussed different kind of forces that work. So, all these have to be properly assessed and suitable actions have to be taken up. We have discussed how as a manager you can use organization development tools. Your goal is to involve employees. In order to have greater employee engagement, in order to have greater employee participation, you have to introduce required management tools, OD tools, organization development initiatives. By involving people, you can attain your ultimate goals. Search on the Google, you will find plenty of tools of strategic management. Try to understand them, apply them, and see how you can become a better strategic manager and help the companies in their growth. Thank you.